let's take it real slow. You know we got what you need, baby, so take it, move along. I said we got what you need, honey, come and groove along. Come on. Rolling on the highway, you know. Wow! Come on, and groove along. Come on. Said babe, I said babe, oh honey, come and groove along. You gotta feel it, yeah, you gotta move along. Gotta feel it, feel it, feel it, feel you gotta feel it, feel it, feel it, feel you gotta feel it. On the roadway, you gotta move along. Baby, gotta move along. I said, baby, you gotta move along. I said, honey, take it real slow. I said, honey, just take it real slow. Whoa, you gotta groove on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There you go. Talk back. Talk back. That's great. Welcome to Jubilee Circle. We are so incredibly pleased that you have joined us today to celebrate your freedom, our freedom, the freedom that we have in spirit, and the sanctuary that we all are for spirit. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Sanctuary, sanctuary for you. sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Sanctuary, sanctuary for you. For you. For you, oh Spirit, for you, for you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Jubilee Circle. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to Deb and the band over there. Just want to give you a little bit of a thing. If you are out there watching in TV land, you can find a bulletin. Just scroll down. If you're watching on YouTube, there'll be a link. Bulletin by the door for all of the folks who are in here in the building. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this morning. We're so glad that you are here at Jubilee Circle. And we are beginning, or we are actually continuing, our VIA Positiva theme of loving what is. For those, I know we've got a couple of visitors at least here. Yay, we're so happy that you're here. We divide the year up into quarters, and we are in our VIA Positiva. So we are in the yes way of understanding God. And our theme is loving what is. A Course in Miracles tells us to look at the crucifixion, but not to dwell on it. And that just means we have to clearly see the suffering in the world and love this place for what it is, so then we can be putting more love out into the world instead of fear and hatred. And that is what is required for us to awaken in this world. And so we're going to explore some ways to love what is all during this VIA. One of my favorite teachers and authors is a man named Michael Singer. Anybody heard of Michael Singer? Oh yeah, man, he's amazing. If you haven't, please investigate Michael Singer. He's great. He runs the Temple of the Universe down near Gainesville, Florida, and he has talks online. Please go and indulge yourself with some Michael Singer. But he writes, no matter who we are, life is going to put us through the changes we need to go through. The question is, are we willing to use this force for our transformation? And most often our answer is no. No, 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 absolutely not. Because we're caught up in our resisting and our complaining or trying to avoid the changes that life is seeking to offer us. But one of Singer's favorite things to remind us of is our place in the universe. We are spinning on a planet in a galaxy that makes up a tiny part of a very vast, expanding universe, and we walk around and judge everything that passes by us. And we decide which one is a problem and which one isn't. We run everything through this tiny, limited, egoic view of the world, and we cling to what we like, and we resist what we don't like. And we call this life. If, however, we can see everything that the universe puts before us as an opportunity to grow and transform, how would our lives be different? Instead of complaining or resisting challenging situations or clinging to experiences that make us feel good, we just surrender to all of it and let it teach us what we need to learn. We would be what A Course in Miracles calls a happy learner, because we would know that our Creator loves us fully and wants us to transform and awaken so we can understand that we're all one in spirit. And that is why life puts us through all these changes, so we can become willing to use it as a force of our transformation. So today, Agape licensed spiritual practitioner Deb Varn is going to introduce us to the concept of life structures to help us explore how disciplined spiritual practices can stabilize those structures so then we can be out in the world delivering our gifts and talents and skills and doing our part to make this world one that makes us all want to say, oh yeah. Please rise as you're able. And every celebration here at Jubilee Circle, we begin by burning sage as a reminder that this is a safe and a sacred time. And we also call the 4 directions, and we remember all the elements, the earth, there's earth, water, air, fire. We remember all 4 of the elements, and we orient ourselves in this sacred time and space by calling the 4 directions. I invite you to turn and face the east. Holy One, open our eyes to this holy church of the earth that we inhabit. Let us find new ways to love all of your creation, from the smallest creatures to the largest tree, from the tiniest child to the oldest of our elders. Teach us, Holy One, to honor all of the magnificent life you have created around and for us. Quarter turn to the right, we face the south. Thank you for all the seasons of this life, Holy One, the heat of the summer, the coolness of the fall, the chill of winter, the thaw of spring. Help us to appreciate the seasons of our earth and to appreciate the seasons of our lives as things come and go, freeze and thaw, ebb and flow. Help us to be grateful for all of it. Quarter turn to the right, we face the west. You make the sun rise and set, Holy One, on what we perceive as the evil and the good. Your love knows no barriers. It knows no bounds. We ask you to look upon our soul today. Help us to see others as you see them, as beloved and innocent, created with original blessing. Quarter turn to the right, we face the north. Our ancestors believed in a literal heaven above, a true north where the holy resides. Holy One, reveal to us the heaven that is always running in, through, and around us. Reveal to us new ways to bring heaven to earth for ourselves and for others. Let our lives be for others a preview of your love on earth as it is in heaven. And as we turn back toward the center, Camille, would you pass the smoke around? Camille's going to pass our sage around. And in that time, I'd like you to look around and look at all these beautiful unified souls descended to earth right in this moment. We're all images of the holy. We contain that seed of the eternity within each of us, that soul that awakens within the holy when our time here is done. So I invite you to cultivate the seed of eternity within yourself, to nurture that seed in others as we grow our Jubilee Circle community. And it is through that love and care that we learn how to truly say, oh yeah. Please remain standing. We're going to sing our opening song. And Deb likes to keep us on our toes and move songs around, so we're going to sing our Woodstock, our little Crosby, Stills, and Nash for you to get us all going. It's a good song to dance and get yourself going this morning. And I invite you as we sing to greet one another. Here we go. 2, 3, 4.
Well, I came upon a child of God. He was walking along the road, and I asked him, tell me, where are you going? This he told me. Well, I'm going down to Yaska's farm, gonna join in their rock and roll band. Get back to the land and set my soul free. We are stardust, we are golden, we are billion-year-old carbon, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. Well, and can I walk beside you? I have come to
the And we've got to get ourselves back to the garden.
Let me some peace.
Oh, yeah. All right. I love this band up here, y'all. I love this band. We've got Trisha Fopp here. CC and the Recalcitrants. We've got Trisha Fopp here on the guitar, the 12th string, and vocals.
Trisha.
Deb Varn over here on vocals and guitar. We got Leslie Gilroy on the vocals over there. Michael Sprinkles Reisman with cello, piano, everything else over there. Bruce Clark over there. Our beautiful and wonderful, amazing lead guitar player. Larry Farina back there on the drums. Spreading his Larry dust. And Keith Edwards Sr. on the bass. And I'm Candace.
Larry Licious.
I'm one of the CCs. So, all right, so welcome everybody. We are so glad that you are here this morning. And just a minute, bleh. This is a new mouth. I'm trying to break it in. They didn't remove all the swear words, but apparently it still doesn't work. They broke it somehow. Jubilee Circle. We are an inclusive, progressive interfaith community here in Columbia, South Carolina, broadcasting around the world. We teach the timeless common wisdom of love and unity that you find in all mainstream religions, metaphysical philosophies, mysticism, and inspired and religious writers and teachers throughout the ages. We use popular music, teachings, weekly celebrations, educational, artistic, musical events, other community-building activities, because we're trying to create a space here for everyone to experience transformation so then they can be that transformation out in the world. We believe we're here to expand our souls, to find a deeper meaning in life, renew our commitment to love and to peace and justice, learn how to love wastefully, and undergo a transformation from the inside out to discover how to live more fully into our higher divine self. We recognize, too, we're part of God's good creation. We are formed in love and joy, but we're made of stardust as well. But we forget this. We pop out into the world and we see you over here and you over there and me over here. And we start to believe in the separation, that we're not one. And then the judging starts and all the grievances start. And we look around and we go, oh, those people are beautiful. Those people are ugly. Those people are so good. Those people very bad. Those people are generous. Those people are stingy. Those people are just so loving. And those are just so
Grody.
well, that's one word for it. They are.
Intransigent.
Intransigent.
Recalcitrant.
Or
Recalcitrant.
thank you, recalcitrant.
Hey, the boys are
But let us
being
remember, jubilants, let us remember, we have never lost our home in God. We are just here asleep in this illusion, and our everything that comes to us from this universe is here to educate us, to help us learn how to awaken into the home we've never left, our home in, with, and through God. And so, yes, that is our purpose here, and that ought to make you say, oh, yeah. Hear these wise and holy words.
From Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. If you are honest with yourself, you will notice that you set a certain ceiling on your life structures, and we'll talk about the life structures. You have come into an agreement that I can be content with just this. I don't want to inconvenience the universe by asking or expecting more. This is not audacious prayer. Authentic, audacious, and I love that name, audacious. You have the audacity to affirm, decree the truth of your being. Yes. Audacious prayer declares our true nature, and it takes you to the depth of your being where you touch reality with a capital R. You break through the ceiling that you have set for yourself. Now, take that in for a second. we break through the ceiling that we have set for ourselves. And I'll tell you about my setting. Duh. But when you know better, as Dr. Maya Angelou said, you do better. We have set a ceiling for ourselves. Once we break through that ceiling, nothing is ever the same. For Marianne Williamson, I trust that there, and trust is my word that I received at initiation. I trust there is a perfect plan for the unfolding of my highest good, which my rational mind, my egoic mind, my carnal mind, that's me adding here, cannot perceive or formulate because it's not thinking. The only thoughts I have are the thoughts that I share with God, the real thoughts. God's plan works and mine does not. I cannot know my part fits best into how my part fits best into a larger plan for the healing of the world, but God does. And my job today is to merely open my mind, open my consciousness, open my heart to that higher consciousness that can flow through me. I know I am not alone in a random universe, but rather I am held in the safety of the arms of God. I am held in the infinite presence that's everywhere. From Joel S. Goldsmith, and he speaks in reference to the 46th Psalm here. God is our refuge and our strength, and therefore we will not fear. It is up to us, not to God to us. It is up to us. We will not fear because God is our refuge. If we can gain an understanding of the nature of God, of the Messiah or the Christ, we shall find that earthly conditions dissolve and harmony can be brought into our experience, not only as individuals, but as a united world, because God is, and hear this, God is no respecter of persons, religions, or of races. God is one. And I underlined and bolded this in my notes. God is equally the Father of us all. When God is known and understood and contacted, that presence does change the course of our human experience. When it becomes our specialty, what we specialize in, when we practice and we get that experience, there's nothing God can't do through us. These are wise and holy words. All creation is a holy word.
All creation speaks volumes of the holy. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. There you go. Not sure how to do that part. You guys are so bright and glowing this morning, I can hardly see the words on my paper. Well, the song that we're going to play right before I speak is called Use Me, and it's a congregational hymn at Agape International Spiritual Center. It's Use Me. You know, we are brought up in a culture where I thought about Finding Nemo, where it says, mind, the little thing, ducks or whatever. And what we do a lot of times is me. It's all about me. That's mine, me. But Use Me takes it to another level where we are each unique expressions of God. I got it. Unique expressions of God. And God has, if we allow it to, the presence can use us to love other people. Use us because God cannot do for us what it can do through us. So no matter where we are, if we open ourselves up to the opportunity to be used, and we'll talk about this in our life structures. Because even when I go to SCOA for a checkup, South Carolina Oncology, I'm bringing the light to every space I enter, allowing God to use me. People won't even know that I have been there, but they will feel the presence of the living God in every room I enter because I consciously bring it with me. So the invitation as a band, they allow God to use them and their gifts as musicians to not just get the joy of playing, but be an instrument of God. And service is one of the life structures, to be in service of the infinite. So this song is called Use Me. Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think that God was a son, God is the Son, but God so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light as me, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I don't know why I have issues with this. Thank you. Oh, that's right. She pins my stool so it doesn't slide out. All right, thank you. I am so excited about today. Oh, thank you. I always begin today in the service with an evocation. And remember, we're not evoking a spirit outside of ourselves. The Spirit of the living God is closer than our breath, nearer than our hands and feet. And that is what we're consciously bringing our attention to and surrendering to. And so let's take a deep breath in together. And release everything that came before this moment. How grateful am I? Grateful just to be grateful. Grateful to find things to be grateful for. Grateful for another day on planet Earth. Grateful to be here with so many mighty companions gathered together, walking each other home. Grateful for all the teachers that have been on my path. Grateful for Jubilee Circle, Candace and Beth and the band and the board, everyone on tech. Grateful for each and every person in YouTube land. Grateful to be grateful. Grateful to be in service. Recognizing that it's all God. That's all there is God. Everywhere I look, God is. In the flower, in the field, in the people, in the bees, in the dragonflies and lizards, it's all God. Infinite intelligence and divine wisdom. That God is good and grace is giving of itself and never ever withholding, and it's right on time. That God is changeless, the same yesterday, today, and forever. And the divine order that turns embryos into babies and acorns into oak trees is the same divine order in the midst of everything. And I am one with this presence. This presence is closer than my breath. My silent partner, always available. Speaking to me in a language which I absolutely catch and understand. And as this is true for me, it's true for each and every person in this space. Each and every person in YouTube land. Each and every person that is. Each and every being that is. That God is living, moving, and having its beingness in, through, and as each of us. One with God. One with each other. One with all it is. Whew. And so it's from this place of oneness that I bless our time together, knowing that it is a holy encounter, a divine assignment. We have been drawn together on purpose for a mighty purpose. And so I bless myself and surrender myself as a vehicle for the divine, a channel for the divine to speak in, through, and as me. Speak, Father, your servant is listening. Help me to hear your voice above all else. I bless each and every person in this space, knowing that each is a unique expression of God. A mighty companion for this journey. I bless each and every member of the band, each and every member of the tech crew, each and every member of the board. I bless the vision for this space, knowing that it's already fulfilled in the mind of the infinite. And I simply say, amen. Okay, I'm loud. Is that what you're saying? I'm just messing with you. So, life structures, man. When I first learned about life structures, I was in practitioner studies at Agape, and it reminded me of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Does anybody remember that from your school's training? And that you had to meet these lower levels before you could get to the higher levels of creating and, in stepping into spirituality. You had to make sure, look, I got to eat. I got to have a place to live. I got to keep the lions and tigers and bears from eating me and my family. And so our life structures is like a foundational support that we came forth that provide us with the opportunity to grow and expand and remember the truth of who we are. And there are people on the planet that do not have the luxury to take a moment to meditate, because they are still stuck in this fight or fright mode because of the environment that they find themselves in. So because we can, we must. Because as we rise in consciousness, we don't rise alone, because all minds are joined. We have no private thoughts. So that as we rise in consciousness, as we enter a state of peace, it brings peace everywhere. It's kind of like when you throw a rock into an ocean, or you throw a rock into a still lake and it ripples out. So as we stand in our spiritual practice, it's not just impacting us. That somebody on the other side of the planet is feeling a quickening in our spirit because of the work that we do, because of the love that we flow through us. Somebody else's life is getting better. And I was talking to Jen about this because, what about the people that don't have the teachers that you had? Well, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And the good thing about us being eternal beings is it don't matter how long it takes. It kind of reminds me of A Course in Miracles, and I think A Course in Miracles is sarcastic because I don't know what. It says that the course is a required course, and the only difference is the time it takes you to finish it. So we can let go of not getting there in this lifetime, because I can't begin to know what another person's experience is or what they came here to learn and express. I can't do it. And I've been spending a lot of time thinking about my mother and about my baby sister. Because, earlier this month I had a cardiac episode where my heart was just beating like crazy, and it stayed that way for 13 hours. And I was talking with Jacobsen, and it was 5 days away from Renata's transition. And she was 32 and died of a heart attack. And then my mother was 59 and died of a heart attack right before her 60th birthday. Guess what I'm turning in September? So it's really got me looking at my life structures, really revisiting my spiritual practice. Because the spiritual practices that are taught in New Age, New Thought, is meditation, it's prayer, it's being in community, it's visioning, it's being in service, it's giving. And there's one I always skipped over, and that was introspection. And I do not like to journal. I mean, I walk, I walk and I'm thinking about it. I'm reflecting on my reflective questions. And even in practitioner studies, well, you need to journal about this. I don't know what I have against it, but I resist it, right? So guess what? What we resist is a sign that we need to surrender to that practice, because what's on the other side of resistance? Our life begins to grow and expand. So rather than looking at resistance as, oh no, hell no, I'm not going to do that, I was like, okay, what is here for me? Or when this cardiac episode happened, I'm thinking about my body temple, which is one of the life structures. And my resistance is I really love caffeine, a cigar every now and then, and an adult beverage. And so, and sugar, God bless me, I got like a sweet tooth the size of Texas. I'm like a little old lady, and I keep remembering, well, you are close to being an old lady. But how you got to have a little something sweet after you eat, right? And so I had resistance to changing that lifestyle, but God provided me someone in my life that is helping me make those changes and embrace those changes. Now, that's some negotiation on the caffeine. Because I was like, I talked to the cardiologist. I said, well, can I do half and half? He said, oh, that's what I do. I said, that's my sign from the Lord. Because I was already slipping in some espresso powder in my coffee. And then I felt bad about it. I had to fess up. So I was like, well, I just want you to know what I've been doing, but my heart rate stayed right here, so we good. So it's all here to teach us so that we can grow and expand. But the main thing that the life structures support is once we get those in balance, we are more able, response able, to show up as a beneficial presence on the planet. I said that weeks before this episode that I wanted to be able to flow more of spirit, to be able to catch it and flow, whether it's through healing modalities or speaking or singing or writing. I want to be able to hold energy. And I knew what I was asking for. But I didn't know how this was going to manifest. So when I think about that experience, it was almost like, whoosh, and I feel like on some level, I got a taste of the energy that I was asking to flow. My body temple showed me, now do you see why you need to back up off the table? You know, and rethink some of your choices around your body temple. Because I had gotten a report from a heart cath 13 years ago that said my arteries were clear, and I said, oh, thank you, Lord, I'm free to be a hedonist the rest of my life. I can eat, drink, and be merry. And so I was talking to my cardiologist the other day. He said, well, you know, a lot of people think that. But that is not the truth. So as Candace was saying in the opening, life comes in and provides us with opportunities to grow, and we have freedom around this. Because, guess what? We can get these lessons now, but don't worry. If we choose not to, it's going to show up in a different set of pants, in a different area. So we don't have to worry about other people. You know, we worry about our children. We worry about our family. We worry about this. Don't worry. God's got this. It's my arrogance to think I need to control a situation because, hell, I can't take care of myself, much less worry about other people. But I know that if there's something for me to do, I have to trust that I'll be told what my role is. Show me all that I must do. And trust is my quality, and trust is being able to do things, do what you're called to do without knowing how it's going to work out. It's like Martin Luther King said, it's like taking a step without seeing the whole staircase. So one of the things my whole life, I've been a protector and defender of women and children. Don't mess with my children. Well, actually, there's two things. Don't mess with my money or my honey. You know, but I added children. But if God's got this, and of course the Miracles lessons today said that the mention of the word God brings angels surround us. And mine are 12 feet tall. And then Lucas said, well, Miss Deb, why aren't they 14 or 16 feet? I was like, I don't know. That's just what's required. You might have a 16-foot one. I don't know. But I thought that was a brilliant question. And also that the name of God, there's no temptation that can withstand that name. God, Ra, Da, whatever you want to call it, the presence. Because it don't care what you call it, just use it. But it doesn't enter without our permission, because guess what? We have free will. And the universe is always listening, always saying yes. And if you're like me and a part of my life, I was like, this is what I want to do. The universe says, okay. I said, no, this is what I want to do. No, this is what I want to do. Guess what? The universe is going with me, always saying yes. So whose responsibility is it to get clear about ourselves and to clean up our stinking thinking? our BS, our belief system, as Reverend Michael talks about. And so that's where the practice comes in. That the practice of prayer, meditation, and study, so that we know what the laws are. We know the truth of God. We know the truth of ourselves. Then we can think aright, pray aright. We can know God aright, know our neighbor aright, and know ourselves aright. I've never, ever been afraid of dying. Never. Because I know that my physical birth was my beginning, my physical death is my end. It's a continuation. It's like taking off a really tight-fitting shoe. All right, what's next, boss? So that's never been. But I think my thing has always been, where am I holding back from life? Where am I not showing up with excellence? You know, I show up in excellence in my work. I show up in excellence, try to. I sometimes don't do the greatest in the world in music, in cooking. But every life structure deserves our attention and our best. And, you know, we talked about the stages and states of consciousness. And what I invite you to do, I included the life structures within the bulletin today, is look at it, take time to look at each one. And whichever one pops out, guess what? That's yours to start with. They're all ours, but to start with. And then kind of look and ask, well, when I'm thinking about my body temple, am I a victim? Oh, I inherited heart disease or this, that, and the other from this parent. Or, you know, so-and-so had this cancer, so therefore that's why I have it. But statistically, 20% of our physical health is genetic. The other 80% is environmental and behavior. So I really can't be a victim, you know, if I got to 80 and you got to 20. And then the other thing is to it, is that manifestor consciousness, which has usually been really good for me, where we learn about the law of attraction and that thoughts become things. Choose good ones. And we get to draw into our experiences the qualities of God: abundance, joy, peace, prosperity, not posterity. That's a joke. Inside. So that we can do this with our manifestor consciousness to it. You know, finding the right job, being in the right place at the right time. The law of attraction. Through me, learning to clear the windows of our perception, giving it over to the Spirit, to clear our windows of our perception so that Spirit can flow in, through, and as us. And then the highest stage that Reverend Michael teaches is being consciousness. That is the consciousness of Jesus. Jesus did not have to think about anything. He was being. Jeshua ben Joseph was the presence of love. It did not have to think about it. It was automatic. Being consciousness. Now, when we take these states of consciousness and look at these life structures, just know that when you get there, you're not going to stay there. You may not stay there. So if there's some areas you may be in being consciousness, or not being, or through me consciousness. It may not be that if you're sick. It's like Don Miguel Ruiz says, and one of the 4 agreements is to always do our best. My best is going to change based on whether I'm sick, based on whether I have a backache, based on whether I'm going through chemotherapy. But I can show up and be the best, surrender this experience to the infinite, and be the best that I can be that day, that breath. Because there were times going through transplant, that's all I had was that breath. And every time I woke up, I said, thank you. So know that wherever we are on these life structures, There's ebb and flow. Be gentle with ourselves about it. Some of these are easier for others and harder for me. But once we get those stabilized, where it's not so boom, 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 so much change, things start to level out. We're practicing the presence. We're meditating so that we can hear God speaking as us, because it's not some voice outside of ourselves speaking. It's speaking in our voice. We can hear it. We can choose to tune into it, take dominion over our thoughts. So with spiritual practice, meditation, affirmative prayer, and I am embracing journaling. I think part of it's worried somebody's, I always worried somebody's going to come along and read my journal. Like, you don't want people reading your journal because you say some stuff in there they don't need to hear. And then self-realization, where, we begin, it ends with ourself, our accepting our candidacy that we are worthy of waking up. The ego, people talk smack about the ego. But a healthy ego is about self-respect, self-worth, and self-love. And I think Gary Zukav talks about this, that at this point, the personality begins to serve the soul's purpose. My growing up and playing in a rock and roll band and teaching and coaching basketball and being a leader, I could not have done that if I was like this. I had to step in. There's a reason why I was the oldest. There's a reason for everything. So that the personality begins to serve the ego. I'm not comparing myself to other people. I'm not comparing myself to Reverend Michael. I'm not comparing myself to really powerful leaders. Yes, we can learn from them. But as Pharrell Williams said, if we try to be somebody else, we'll only be second best. So we use the ego to our advantage. And some people say edge God out is what the ego is. No, you can't edge God out. God's everywhere. Never in absence. Our livelihood is beyond having a job. That's our ministry. Every place we enter is a holy space. When I was an administrator, I was a minister of God. When I moved into HR, which I'm going to tell you right now was my least favorite place I ever worked in my entire life, I was pushing paper. And I remember that Beth said, Deb, the invitation is to not say you're pushing paper, because it's so much more than that. So I used that role to be a beneficial presence for the principals that I served, because I knew what it was like to deal with HR. It was a royal pain in the bahonkers. So I tried to that was my goal, to be the presence of the alternative, to bless each person that I called, to bless each person that entered my door. And I knew that I would be there until my mission was fulfilled. It was more than a job. It was my ministry. And so then we move into probably the ego's biggest playground is our relationships. There's no place or space where we can learn more about unconditional love than relationships. And it brings up everything unlike love. And the ego, Lord have mercy. Am I hippocampus? Y'all know what the hippocampus is, right? It's that little thing in the middle of your brain where both sides of your brain kind of talk to each other. And my hippocampus is cray-cray sometimes. It totally misinterprets what's being said. So sometimes my friend will say, look, what did I just say? I was like, you know what, I used to do that on my kids. What's she playing? But it's true. We have to be able to communicate effectively. And true communication is when the message is received in the manner in which it's intended. Our body temple, this is a temple of the living God. This is how God gets to move into spaces and places. I've got to do a better job of taking care of it so that I can do what I was born to do, so that I can fulfill my soul's purpose for being. We can all look at that life structure and ask, what is best for this body temple? What is God's idea of this body temple? Financial. This structure acknowledges God as source. And I come from, I'm late in the baby boomers. You know, baby boomers are all like conserve, and, you know, you got a just in case file, you know, and you got a little stash here, something, you know, just in case. And you don't want to go too big because you don't want to outgrow your raising. And I was the first person in my family to graduate from high school and the first one on either side to go to college. And I felt like when I got my degree that I had arrived, that I'd already outdone my family lineage. And so when the opportunity came to go to graduate school and to step into getting a master's degree, I was like, oh. But Spirit, you know, said, yes. So it forced me to push higher. But one of the things I've noticed recently when I'm reflecting, I need to put it in my journal. Thank you for the reminder. Is that I put limits on God in that department. Because I've always said I live below my means. I'm comfortable with where I live. And I do. I love my house. It's a place of healing. And in a way, I'm kind of limiting God because I want to be open and receptive to all that God would have me express. I would love to travel. I don't have my passport, but I'm ready to go and be a part of the global community to serve. And if I stay in this I'm comfortable consciousness and that retirement is my source or disability is my source or this is my source, I'm putting limits on the infinite. And Candace was sharing with me just the magnificent things that are happening in their life because they are open and receptive to more good than they've ever imagined. So it's an opportunity to say yes, to experiment. Okay, God, look. And I think Edwin Gaines gave God 60 days. She started, tithing, putting her money in and said, look, God, I barely got money to put food on the table, and I'm going to give you 60 days. And if I don't see any changes, that's it. No more cash out of me. And she began to share how clients were coming out of nowhere, how meeting the right person or being in the right space or it just happened that way. That's an invitation. And our beliefs, our what we wake up beginning thinking about, so important. And we clean up that belief system by practice, by study, by just saying, hey, embracing the laws that you learn, one little piece at a time. And then the final life structure is being in community, being here with people on that are like-minded, that are wanting to wake up. Because if we didn't want to wake up, would you really come to Jubilee? So we are seeking to be more of our true selves, and we do that in community. When we suffer, because suffering happens, and we can do a whole talk on suffering. The kiss of death is to suffer in silence. I know that for a fact, because suffering in silence almost took me out. Bear one another's burdens. and thus fulfill the law of Christ, the law of love. We don't have to fix anything. We don't have to do anything. We just have to be the presence that we are, that is the presence of love. And support each other. And I said this before, that we need to get some friends that will help us raise our vibration and help remind us of the truth of our being, that we are powerful beyond measure, that we're here on purpose for a mighty purpose. So as we stabilize these life structures, stabilize does not mean we all being that presence 180%. No, we do the best we can, and it's enough. That we are enough, we have enough, that all of our needs are met regardless of appearances. We just show up. We do the practice, we sit on the meditation stool, and then we get up and we go do life. And pay attention to the way we feel, because remember, the ego speaks first, and that little speaks loudest. And it seeks to divide. It seeks our demise. It is suspicious at best and vicious at worst. But when we have a healthy ego, when I know that I don't have to compare myself to anybody else, that so-and-so's a great rhythm guitar player, oh, I can outplay with that rhythm guitar player. No. I am the best person that I can be. We don't compare ourselves to other people when our ego is healthy. So the invitation is, keep on what you're doing. Take a look at the life structures. Ask Spirit, which one of these do you feel like would give me the best bang for my buck? And when I say that, what's going to, because you always want to get a quick win. When you're starting something new, you want to get a quick win. So which one of these structures that I'm going to get a quick win with? And for me right now, it is the body temple. That is requiring my focus. And bless you, I hope that you learn from the whisper as opposed to the sledgehammer. I'm like, oh my Lord, really? Because we're going to learn. And the Course says we can learn through joy, or we can learn through pain. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm done with pain. I choose joy. And so if you ever want to talk about the life structures, if you would like for me to pray with you, I'm happy to pray with you after service anytime. And just know that you are all unique expressions of the infinite, perfect, whole, and complete, lacking nothing. And that wholeness and perfection has nothing to do with the body. I am not a body. I am free. I am still as God created me. That wholeness and perfection is, and it is on this side of the veil, and it definitely is on the other side of the veil. And we cannot know what another person's journey is. We just have to surrender to whatever we're resisting and practice. And I promise you, you will say, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Breathe deeply. I invite you in this meditation time to take a moment to scan your body, feel yourself in the seat, feel the floor as it supports you. And as you think about everything that Deb has talked about today, there's one thing that I would like you to do as you meditate. Think about all these spiritual practices, meditation, journaling, yoga, all the things that you can do, clear your mind, put you in touch with the holy. And as you think of those, notice the ones that you resist. Notice the one where you go, I tried meditation, can't do it. I tried journaling, I can't do it. Make your resistance an invitation. Just try, give it a chance. I used to journal fairly religiously. Every morning I would just do like morning pages, like what Julia Cameron talks about, or just like blah. It's just throw it, word vomit on the page. Just whatever's in your mind. Write it down. And so many new thoughts and ideas sprang up. And then, of course, I stopped because the ego was like, oh, this is too much. There's too much new stuff arriving. I don't know. Suspicious. Ego got suspicious. I don't like this. So I stopped. Deb's inspiring me. I'm going to have to get back to journaling. That's it. We're going to do it. We're going to do it together. Because I'm telling you, and Deb, I'll tell you, the journaling worked. I got so much new information, so much. There's a writer, I cannot remember who said this, but there was a writer whose quote I love. It's like, I write to learn about what I know. And that's why journaling works. There's stuff that you know, but it doesn't have a chance to arrive. And that writing gives it a chance. Meditation gives it a chance. Journaling, yoga, anything that you do to calm the mind down. You're not trying to let go of every thought. You're not trying to stop thinking. You're just trying to hear the silence. And as someone with tinnitus, there's never silent. But you know what? I use my tinnitus as a bell of mindfulness. I hear it. It's like my own personal sound bowl walking around in my head. And so use what you got. It's not going away, may as well use it. So I tune in. Just listen to the tone. It's always there. But it's like God. It's always there. So I always remember my tinnitus is it's God's presence, always there. Never going away. Tune in, listen. If it ever disappeared, I wouldn't know what to do. So, whatever you're resisting this morning, if you have resistance to some of these practices, I invite you. Make that your practice this week. Meditate, figure out what that is. Breathe deeply. One of the things we resist the hardest is tithing, is giving. Because we think when we give, well, then suddenly we don't have as much. And A Course in Miracles says giving and receiving are the same thing. Because we think that money is a finite sort of resource. And so much we get it and we don't want to let it go. But money is an energy, like everything else in this world. It's a resource, it's an energy. And so we have a choice with energy. We can be the open channel, and it flows through us constantly. Or we can turn the switch off, and nothing moves. And then we wonder why I keep my money, but suddenly I feel like I have less all of a sudden. Well, you've turned off the flow. It's a law of circulation. As money goes out, more resources come back in. As those resources go out, it works every time. We say this stuff either works or it doesn't. The law of circulation works. Whatever you put out into the world, you get it back. You get it back 10, 20 million times, as long as you're willing to still be open. And we've survived. We survived COVID. A lot of churches didn't. And that's because people supported us. And so we ask for your support to continue, for your support. Open up. It's the law of circulation. Whatever you give to what is important to you will come back to you. It's a law. I didn't write it. I'm just trying to follow it. So you can give. I'm going to pass the basket around. Linda, would you pass the basket around? So as the basket comes around, there is also an option in your bulletin to use Venmo or PayPal. There's a QR code in your bulletin if you don't have any cash on you. If you are watching, you can go to jubileecircle.com. There is a donate button there. And also you can send a check to Post Office Box 4611, Columbia, South Carolina 29240. All right. Those poor people over there. Mary's going to come. All right. All right. So we are going to send our folks. Thank you, Mary. We are going to send our folks on YouTube on their way. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. And tune in again next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. And remember, if the only prayer you ever say your entire life is enough, it will. If the only prayer you ever say is thank you, it will be enough. And so we say, thank you. And we say, oh yeah. We'll see y'all next week. All right. For here.